Hi, guys. I hope you are all doing well. Welcome back to my channel. Island is a piece of land surrounded by the sea. These are one of the most fascinating features and a source of natural beauty in the world. You may have heard about many mysterious islands before, sometimes by your grandfather or grandmother or sometimes in books. So in today's video, we bring you the list of the top 10 mysterious islands from folklore. Without further ado, let's get straight into the topic. Number 10. Avalon. Kicking off the list with number 10 we have Avalon. Avalon is a legendary island featured in the Arthurian legend. The Isle of Apples was the charming island where the sword Excalibur was forged. It was also household to the witch Morgan. It was seemingly hoped that her powers would be able to heal the dying king. Legends vary on what happened to Arthur. Possibly he was healed, or perhaps he was placed in a charming sleep. All agree that Arthur is not gone forever. When Britain needs his help, he will return from Avalon. Many have tried to find Avalon. Some believe that it is an island in Atlantic just off the coast of Britain. Others have seen the island of Avalon as a lyrical description of Glastonbury Tor, a hill which is often bounded by mists and looks like an island floating overhead the land. But nothing is clear yet, as it is still one of the thousands of mystery of our universe. Number 9. High Brassel. Coming at number 9, we have the High Brassel. Before Brazil was popularly known to Europeans, there was High Brassel, an island to the west of Ireland. High Brassel was exposed on nautical maps for centuries before finally being removed from charts in the year 1860s. Irish legend had long communicated about lands to the west which intrepid voyagers had found, but High Brassel was their most enduring myth. When John Cabot, the first European to land on the North American mainland since the Vikings, returned from his trip, it was reported that he had been led to lands exposed in the past by the men from Bristol who found Brassel. As investigation became more intense and there were fewer places for High Brassel to hide on the map, legends representation to explain its absence. It was apparently always surrounded by thick fogs, except for one day every 7 years, for example. Maps started to show the island as an ever smaller feature until it was labeled merely as Brassel Rock, a lonely mountain in the sea. Number 8. BUYAN. Coming at number 8 we have is BUYAN. In the Dove book and other medieval Russian books, BUYAN is described as a mysterious island in the ocean, with the ability to appear and disappear using tides. In Slavic folklore, the island of BUYAN is a sort of paradise and heaven on earth. It is home to the sun and the winds and is the island from which all weather comes. Seeds from every plant in the world can be found there, which is absolutely amazing and exciting. Regrettably for those searching for this heaven on earth, the island of BUYAN has a habit of vanishing and reappearing at random. To make the island even more attractive to explorers, it contains at its center a magical white stone popularly known as alligator. It is said to mark the center of the universe, and from it flow rivers with the ability to heal all injuries and sicknesses. Anyone who finds alligator will be granted happiness forever. Number 7. Isle of Demons. The Isle of Demons should possibly consider altering its name if it wants to encourage tourism. Though given what is said to lurk there, possibly they don't. It also makes a terrible honeymoon endpoint, as a young bride named Marguerite was to find out. Married to French noble, it looks the young Marguerite was traveling to meet him in the New World. She was also fascinated by a handsome ship designer who was on the mission, it seems. The commander was upset with the scandalous behavior of the young bride and did what any psychopath would do. He uninhibited her on an island known as the Isle of Demons. The Isle of Demons is a phantom island once connected with Quirpon Island, Newfoundland, in Canada. It was in general shown as two islands. It began to become visible on maps in the beginning of the 16th century and vanished in the mid-17th century. It could also simply be a translation from First Nations people who often avoided areas where a person had died, believing it was haunted by spirits. This results in many islands with the same reference. Number 6. Turn-on-Og. The west coast of Ireland boasts an unusual number of mythological islands. One that many persons would love to visit is Turn-on-Og, the Isle of Eternal Youth. There is no sickness, no pain, and no hunger on the island. Meat and beer flow, and everyone is happy. Hangovers also apparently do not occur. One story of Turn-on-Og involves the Irish hero Oisin. Niamh, a lovely young maiden from Turn-on-Og, was riding by when Oisin saw her. Immediately, he fell in love with her. Riding on a magical horse, he was able to visit the island with Niamh. He consumed a full year on Turn-on-Og, but still longed to see his home. Niamh provided another magical steed, which would take him to his motherland and also return him to her. The only conditions to his visit were that he could not get off his horse or allow the ground to touch his feet. Number 5. Floating island of Redesmere close to Cape Hall can be found the lake known as Redesmere. This is a man-made lake which was made in the 18th century as a feeder lake for the ornamental lakes of Cape Hall. The name Redesmere is thought to mean a marsh or a lake at a reedy place, and apart from being the home of Redesmere Sailing Club is one of the few lakes that can lay claim to having a floating island. How it came to float about is part of local legend. A young adventurer whose family owned the land the lake sits in alleged his fair lady of cheating on him. He swore that he would not talk to her again until the island in the middle of the lake floated away. Soon afterwards, the night fell seriously hostile, and his former lover nursed him back to health. When he was no longer hazardously ill, a huge storm swept the land and broke the island free from its residents, sending it moving around the lake. Taking this as a sign of his lover's fidelity, the knight married her. Number 4. The Symplegades. According to the myth of Jason and the Argonauts, the Symplegades were a pair of enormous rocks in the ocean. The only navigable path was to pass between them. Any ship that tried was doomed, as the rocks would come booming together to wreck the ship. Jason had to use cunning to escape destruction. He set loose a bird to fly between the Symplegades. Sensing something trying to pass, the cliffs moved inward. The bird fled, losing only a few tail feathers. As the cliffs began to retract, Jason had his crew row to speed into the gap. The cliffs reached their starting point before commencement to close again. It was too late. By the time they cracked together, they trapped only the decoration on the rear of Jason's ship. Defeated, the Symplegades never moved again. Number 3. Antillia, to be found somewhere in the far west of the Atlantic, was popularly known as the Isle of Seven Cities. When Spain fell to Muslim attackers from North Africa in 714, the legend of Antillia tells how 7 bishops escaped with their supporters to this island beyond the sea. For hundreds of years, Antillia continued to be shown on maps. Its location changed as trips failed to make contact with it, but the legend only seemed to grow. A Portuguese ship driven out into the ocean by worst weather is said to have landed on Antillia around the year 1430. The crew went to church with the inhabitants but fled, afraid of being surrounded there. The sailors had found that the sand of the island was composed largely of gold. Despite the stir that this finding caused, Antillia was never located. Number 2. St. Brendan's travels. St. Brendan was a 6th century Irish monk and is popularly known to history as the navigator for his habit of traveling. It is known that he traveled to many of the smaller islands to be found around Britain where monastic groups were gathering. A later story has Brendan visiting islands of an entirely different type. 2 centuries after the saint's death, a book titled The Voyage of St. Brendan the Abbot was written that charted his travels in search of the island of Paradise. On a 7-year voyage in the Atlantic, Brendan and his crew made many odd discoveries. On one island, they found a dog and food left out for a feast but no individuals. On another, they explored the paradise of birds, where all the birds sing hymns to God. On yet another island, the crew lit a fire, only to find the island bucking around and swimming away. They were actually on the back of a whale. Another whale proved more biddable when it allowed Brendan to rejoice in Easter Mass on its back. Number 1. Atlantis. On top of our list, there is Atlantis. One of the most mysterious and folklore island in the world is Atlantis. While most of the islands on this list have been sacked as mere fictions, there are still those today who will declare a belief in Atlantis. Atlantis, Plato the philosopher tells us, was a mighty island and civilization in the region the Atlantic Ocean. The Atlanteans were half-divine people living on Aneronic Island. They were unbelievably powerful, but not influential enough to save themselves. He defines how the island was sunk by an earthquake and fire sent by the gods to punish their misdeeds. Though Plato places his account of Atlantis in his personal distant past, 9,000 years before him, it has not stopped people from looking for a real Atlantis. Plato was a philosopher, not a geographer or historian. Most researchers believe that he was telling a story with a message. Those who believe that Atlantis is a real place, however, have located it in spots all across the globe. Believers will tell you that Atlantis was in the Caribbean, the Atlantic, off the Indian coast, in the North Sea, and even in the Andes. One intriguing theory joins the ancient fate of the island of Santorini with that of Atlantis. In around 1450 BC, the volcano on Santorini detonated, tearing the island apart. Anyone on the island would have perished, and we do have archaeological remains of a relatively advanced culture on Santorini. Their end would have certainly been at the hands of fire and earthquakes as well as other natural calamities. So, this was all about the top 10 mysterious islands from folklore. Let us know which of the following amazed you the most in the comment box. I hope you liked today's video and found all information fascinating and interesting. If you want to hear more from us, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon so you never miss an update. That is all for today. See you soon with the next video, till then take care. Thanks for watching.